Okay, so you might ask, what am I doing today in the kitchen? I've got some radiator fan switches, and mine isn't working on the car, so I want to find one of them that does. And my setup is basically a thermocouple here, a kettle, and another multimeter which is set to continuity. So basically this switch is incredibly simple. All it does is when it gets between 91 to 95 degrees centigrade or 196 to 203 Fahrenheit, it'll turn on. So it will close the circuit. So in terms of continuity, it will make that thing make a buzzer. So it'll connect the circuit, and then that turns on the relay and then makes the radiator fan start. And then when it gets 3 to 8 degrees centigrade lower than that temperature, or 5 to 15 degrees Fahrenheit lower than that temperature of which it was turned on, it'll turn off again. So the setup's very simple. Obviously with the kettle here, I'm going to whack that in the water, and then I'm going to I've got these little connectors here for the continuity, so we can say when the switch comes closed, and then just place them in here with the two connectors. So I'll do that setup now. Right, so we're connected there like that. It's just got these two crocodile clips in there. And then we can basically just set the kettle going. So let's just see what temperature we're at first. Jam that in here. 85, okay. So obviously you need to set the kettle going again, and then once it's boiled, we'll chuck that in. But I actually want to see if I can get to that boundary of 91. So I'm just going to kind of give it a bit. What have we got? 91, cool. So clearly 91 isn't enough to turn this one. Go back on. I want to see where this switch is. .96 should be the puppy. Not quite. There we go. So 96 degrees. We have continuity. So that's doing it. And then we could wait and see when it will turn off, but we don't really need to worry. But we know 91 didn't do it, 96 did, so somewhere in that boundary. It's 95, it's fine. Then I've got another one here. I'll just quickly connect this up and see if this one's dead or not. Right, so we're at 94 still. Got this older one connected up. Dunk that in. See if we can get some continuity. See, it helps if you turn the thing on. This one could well be dead, because this is the one that originally came on the engine. Okay, we'll give it a chance, because what I'll do is I'll go back up to... It's not doing anything. Okay, fair enough. Let's just boil the kettle again. We'll wait till it's max temperature and see if it comes on again or not. So yeah, this is a bit of an excessive setup because I've got a thermocouple and you know, it came with the multimeter. You wouldn't necessarily need that. Basically, if it's boiled, it should be just below 100 degrees Celsius. So that's in there, well, that's in 98. So if this doesn't come on now, this sensor will go on. Yeah, that one's dead. This one works, and now I can just basically place that in my car, and I should be all good. So this is my engine bay, and down there you can see the radiator fan switch where my finger is, the little brown connector, and here I've got the wiring of it just bridged by a switch, so the wires go in there and they actually come in here. So I've got this little switch here, so if I just turn the ignition on with the key like that in there, that's loud, isn't it? But I can turn it on and off, and all that's doing is allowing that relay for the radiator fan to be closed and therefore the fan to come on. So it's not really ideal situation because sometimes you'll forget to turn it on. So what I'm going to do is go in there, I think it's well, let's see what size it is, and I'll put a socket deep over that whole thing and just whip that sensor out and put in the one that I've tested, and then I'll probably test that as well just for my own knowledge to see if it was actually working in the first place, because it should be broken, otherwise I know it wasn't coming on. So it's got two options: it was either broken or maybe there's a big bubble of air up there and the sensor never saw the temperature, but I doubt that because I've bled the coolant properly. So let's just undo that. So taking the 10mm off the thermostat housing there, and I've got the 24mm on a little crow's foot. I'm just going to dink that off there now. Up there now, it's just belched out a bit of coolant, but nothing to worry about. And then I can just see it's got a seal in there. I'll see if I can find another seal, but what I might do instead is just place some of the Honda Bond, clean up any of the remaining coolant around that, and just chuck a bit of Honda Bond on, but also see if I can find a seal. So I've just got the sensor here. You had to reuse that old O-ring, just turned it round and put a little bit of Honda Bond on the threads, and I've also tried to dry out the threads inside the thermostat housing. Then I can just thread it up in here like so, and just nip it up with that crow's foot spanner on the 24mm. So just wiped off any of that excess like so. And then you can just place all the connector back in there and the thermostat housing eyelets as well. I've got more than you would usually have because I've got sensors and stuff running off that. And now's also a good time just to kind of sand off the top of that to make sure it's a good connection. Nice clean top of that now, and just connect everything else back. It's all back in place now. The final thing will be to obviously leave it to set with the Honda Bond and fill up the radiator with coolant again, and run up to temperature, and then hopefully the radiator fan comes on. So I'm performing the same test here again. I've got my thermocouple and continuity test on this. One thing I have noticed, just the one that was in the engine that wasn't working, is that actually the pins have had to kind of push down the actual connectors to get the pins to seat nicely on there, otherwise they were too loose. So I'm wondering if the actual pins themselves were a bit thin in this connector, meaning that you didn't actually have physical contact for the Honda connector to this, so it was never going to be able to close the circuit. Either way, that's just a theory for now, but let's see if it actually works. So just chuck it on here, give it a bit. Dumped in there, up to 2 from the boundary. Like that. Certainly not. Not yet. Okay, let's go off a bit. get it up to max. Let's try that. Around 95. Chance this thing's just broken. Right, let's go to full 400 degrees or. Okay, so that's there. Like that. And this thing. Bump that in there like that. 96 degrees. It's not coming on. So this thing was broken the whole time. Weird, because it's hardly even being used, but was it ever working? Either way, I've checked out the one that I have placed in the car. It does work, so that's simply how to check if it works. Obviously you need to clean out your kettle after you've done that, but now I'm just going to go back outside, do up the coolant and run up to temperature and see if the fan comes on. So I've given a lot of time for the Honda bond to go off on the radiator fan switch. I just need to fill the radiator up with some coolant and mixed up with some water. I've got some Comma Extreme G30 here, and then I just need to run the engine, get it up to temperature, and at the same time make sure I've got the interior heater control switched to hot, and then just to top it off at the end.